It all started on a calm Thursday afternoon in Southern California, when the sky suddenly split wide open. In just minutes, heavy rain pounded down on the San Bernardino Mountains, turning the peaceful little town of Oak Glen into a chaotic mess of mud, massive rocks, and trees yanked right out of the ground. As night fell, entire roads were swallowed by raging debris flows, vehicles got buried under the sludge, and houses were left hanging dangerously on crumbling hillsides. The National Weather Service had issued warnings about possible flash flooding after Tropical Storm Mario moved inland, but nobody saw this level of destruction coming. The storm hit hard on the burn scar from the El Dorado fire, turning those charred canyons into fast-moving rivers of thick mud that barreled down the slopes with insane power. 911 lines lit up as drivers got stuck in the floodwaters and whole neighborhoods were completely isolated. What unfolded in Oak Glen wasn't your typical flash flood. It was Mother Nature taking back the mountains in one brutal, unstoppable surge. For the folks living there, it turned into a nightmare evening they'd never shake from their memories. Around mid-afternoon, the rain kicked off like nothing special, just a steady shower at first. But then it ramped up fast into a total downpour, catching everyone off guard with barely any time to prepare. In under 30 minutes, Oak Glen Road was gone, vanished under a wall of murky brown water. The soil turned to soup as huge mudslides poured down from the El Dorado burn area, hurling car-sized boulders straight through people's driveways and yards. Home videos from residents showed the sheer panic. Cars flipping over like toys, fences breaking apart in an instant, and giant trees getting torn up by the roots. It was like the whole mountain came alive, one local said, recalling how a massive mud avalanche engulfed their entire block in a matter of seconds. By 4 p.m., emergency operators were totally swamped with calls. State Route 38, the lifeline snaking through those mountains, totally shut down in half a dozen spots. Cars were stuck, families trapped inside with water climbing past 4 feet. Yeah, you heard that right, 4 feet of muddy soup surrounding them. Sirens were screaming down the canyons while San Bernardino County firefighters charged straight into the mess. They're fighting landslides crashing down and rain that just wouldn't quit. This wasn't a regular storm anymore. It was a massive wall of dirt and rock barreling downhill, and it kept coming. As night dropped over places like Oak Glen, things got real scary. People huddled in their houses that were shaking from all the debris slamming into them. Power blinked out, gone. Whole neighborhoods pitch black. No streetlights, nothing. The only warning you had was that deep, rumbling growl of the mudslide echoing everywhere. 911 lines were blowing up. A family of 4 stuck in their truck. A hiker cut off near Jenks Lake. Drivers waist-deep in sludge right on Highway 38. Rescue teams pushed through the nightmare, flashlights slicing through the downpour. At one point, firefighters literally locked arms to drag an older couple out of the flood. Others fired up bulldozers just to punch through the muck and get to people. Choppers were circling overhead, dropping spotlights on roads that straight up vanished under the sludge. Then, 80 miles away in Barstow, heartbreak. Same storm system sent flash floods ripping through. A dad and his 2-year-old tried crossing a road that looked fine but was totally underwater. Water took them both. Rescuers pulled the father out, but the little boy, still missing when the night ended. By midnight, SoCal wasn't battling wildfires or drought like usual. It was water and mud taking everything back. Mother Nature flipped the script hard. Back then, the El Dorado fire ripped through more than 22,000 acres up in those mountains. torching everything in its path. It didn't just take out the trees and brush. It literally baked the soil into this hard, waxy layer that repels water like a raincoat. So when the remnants of Tropical Storm Mario dumped over 3 inches of rain in just a couple hours, that water couldn't sink in at all. Nope, it shot straight downhill, picking up speed like a runaway train. What we ended up with was a massive debris flow. Think a raging river of thick mud, boulders, ash, and snapped-off tree trunks barreling along at up to 30 miles per hour. Deadly stuff. The National Weather Service folks had put out warnings about possible flash floods, but Mario just parked itself over Southern California, sucking in moisture like a non-stop conveyor belt right into the San Bernardino Mountains. Turned way worse than anyone predicted. Kinda reminds me of that tragic 2018 mudslide in Montecito. Another spot hit hard after a big fire, and it took 23 lives. Same harsh lesson here. Once fire scars the land, even a decent rain can turn into total disaster. For Oak Glen, those mountains didn't just give way. It was like they held on to that fire memory and hit back hard. Come morning, the quiet was eerie. Roads that used to wind through apple orchards and cute little cafes, now they're choked with rivers of gooey sludge. Cars half swallowed by the mess, houses knocked off their foundations like toys, and this heavy stench of soaked ash everywhere. For the folks in Oak Glen and nearby Forest Falls, it was like waking up on another planet, one reshaped by overnight mayhem. Search and rescue teams were out there right away, picking through the rubble and yelling for anyone who might be stuck. They found 10 drivers stranded on Highway 38 and got them out safe using ATVs with the fire crews. But for so many locals, it was game over, everything gone. I heard about one family just standing there next to what was left of their house, the dad holding tight to a muddy photo album, the only thing he grabbed in time. Down at a Red Cross shelter in Yucaipa, volunteers were handing out blankets, hot food, whatever people needed after losing it all. Heartbreaking, right? A bunch of kids sitting super quiet on the cold, hard ground, still totally freaked out from all the chaos that went down overnight. One local lady, let's call her Maria, lost her whole apple orchard in just a few minutes. She said it was like endless thunder crashing nonstop. Over in Barstow, search teams haven't stopped looking for this adorable 2-year-old boy named Xavier. He went missing when his dad's car got swallowed by the rushing floodwaters. His little picture is blowing up all over social media, a tiny face that's become the symbol of this huge disaster. By Friday morning, it was all hands on deck across San Bernardino County. Over 150 firefighters, rescue pros, and highway patrol officers were grinding 24/7 to get things under control. They had bulldozers shoving through mud that's like 6 feet deep in spots, and drones flying over canyons hunting for anyone stuck out there. Down at Jensen Lake, the heroes were using ropes and blow-up boats to pull families out of their cars where they'd been trapped all night. Cal Fire teams were out clearing junk off power lines, getting the lights back on for more than 2,000 homes by sunset. National Guard choppers were buzzing everywhere, dropping off water, fuel, meds, and supplies to those remote spots near Forest Falls. The county fire department was teaming up with transportation folks and emergency services to check out all the busted roads and bridges. Everything's shaky, and they're warning that more rain could kick off even more slides. One battalion chief put it perfectly: we're in a race against the clock and the mountains themselves. But here's the cool part. People from all over the Inland Empire showed up with shovels, food, and whatever they could carry. Some opened their homes to families with nowhere to go. Others were digging out driveways for neighbors. Online, hashtags like Oak Glen Strong started trending everywhere. It's that classic California spirit, pushing back no matter what. These towns that were scared of wildfires not long ago are now banding together against the sloppy mess left behind. Up in Oak Glen, you can still feel the storm hanging in the air, but it's more in the quiet now than the noise. These mudslides didn't just happen because of one big rain. Nah, it's years of dry spells, massive fires, and wild weather all smashing together in one epic fail. What went down in those hills is just one chapter in a story that's playing out all over the country, from Cali to Colorado, Hawaii to Montana. Scientists call it a chain reaction of climate messes. Fires burn everything bare, Then rains hit and turn the hills into raging mud rivers. It's not some rare thing anymore. It's happening over and over. Folks who used to swap apple pie recipes over the backyard fence are now swinging hammers side by side, rebuilding roofs and lives. Their comeback is a straight-up reminder for all of us. Getting back on your feet after a disaster isn't just about hauling away debris. It's about rebuilding hope. From scorched hillsides to roads swallowed by mudslides, Mother Nature's dropping the same tough love note every time. Every storm wrecks stuff, but it also teaches us how to hang on tighter. The sun's dipping low over Oak Glen's battered ridges, painting everything in this warm, golden glow that slices right through the dust. It's bouncing off muddy shingles, glinting on snapped fence posts. A quiet hush that only shows up after the sky's done yelling. Families are out on their porches, holding hands, watching supply trucks rumble by while the smell of damp soil hangs heavy in the air. The worst part's behind them, but the rail comeback? That's just getting started. Storms like this don't just knock things down. They rewrite what starting over even means. Oak Glen's story isn't about the mess the flood left. It's about the unbreakable spirit that rises out of it. When everything's chaos, that's exactly when regular people shine the brightest. So as you're watching these clips and hearing their voices, keep this in mind. Every time you hit play, every story you pass along, every lesson you soak up, it all counts. Because somewhere out there, the next storm's already spinning up. If this one hit you in the feels, smash that like button, share it with your crew, and subscribe. Not just for the updates, but to stand shoulder to shoulder with the folks who flat out refuse to let any storm bury them.